Okay. Thank you
Right.
so much today, Janet, for joining us. Really
You're
lovely to
welcome.
see you. Thanks.
Welcome.
Now, as we were chatting, we just are doing some interviews to kind of chat to people about how they might actually be using tapping. And I know you just shared, and you're going to share with our listeners now a little bit about how you might have used it for a workplace dilemma. So maybe I'll hand over to you. Just share with us as much as you like about the nature of your job and what you might have used it for.
All right, I certainly will. And please interrupt and ask a question if I'm wandering off track. Okay, I work in a firm of, say, 30 to 33 professionals.
Right.
There's 6 in admin, and there's 3 upstairs and 3 downstairs. So I'm part of the downstairs team.
Right.
It's a work ethic issue. One of the people I work with, there was a lot of issues with not carrying their workload. Dumping, I guess you could call it. So that was the personal part for me to work through, because the atmosphere in the office became quite cold.
Yeah.
So that was the nature of the issue, and I was thinking, I can't work with this person with this work ethic and me carrying that workload.
Sure.
So without carrying on any more about that story, I think that wraps up the sort of thing we're talking about. So that's when I used the tapping and accepting myself, even though this person was not what I expected, and dumping on me, and I'm feeling disrespected, and that's building. So I did the tapping on that.
Yeah.
And then the positive part of that tapping is when accepting myself, and that it's okay for people to be how they are, and I don't have to have that flight or fight response from that and getting angry.
Oh, fantastic.
So I did that, and as much as it was hard, there was one particular job that she was leaving. I didn't have to do it. It was just a lot easier. So I shifted this weekend because I had to do something to change the atmosphere. The result is, on the Monday, I picked up the item that I had to do. I had a shortcut to my tapping, and I just tap, 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 and thought, just do it. Don't let the anger, by the time I had walked upstairs, it had dissipated, and that's never happened, ever.
Wow.
And I was free from it. I was free from this person's projections. And since then, the whole atmosphere has changed.
Wow.
Their behaviour, unfortunately, hasn't changed that much. They're still doing a bit of that.
Sure.
But I'm not affected. The people around me have noticed a difference. I have explained I was doing some tapping, but I don't think they've really picked up on how good it is.
Yeah.
But it's impacted on other things in my life, because that also was a core issue that related to quite a few other things. So it is remarkable in that respect.
And really, you kind of have these moments, don't you, when things like this happen, where you kind of think, what would I do if I didn't have tapping as a tool to be able to deal with something like that in the workplace?
Absolutely. In this situation, it would have just the anger, and I was taking it home, and I knew I was doing it. I was quite aware. How can I just get rid of it? You can't just say, I'm not going to feel that. But by just acknowledging with that, and by creating that little shortcut and visualising what would it feel like to not be bothered, that was my shortcut. So whenever, even now, I might still do it if it pinches a bit, and I just tap very quickly, and that's enough to, I can shift. I don't have to go here. It's yours.
Yeah, wow. And Janet, how long have you done tapping in your life anyway? Like when did it come into your life?
Probably in about January, I did some tapping with Jessica and Nick Ortner.
Yep.
I did one of their courses, and I've done your course online.
Sure.
And so I've used that, but this was probably the most effective because I had a very specific event that I could really nail it. But one person at work said, geez, there's been a difference downstairs, I've noticed. And I said, well, yeah, I changed. And everything changed with it.
Wow, that's fantastic. I mean, thank you so much for sharing that. It's quite personal, but sharing that today to sort of give people an idea, I guess, about, you know, how you might be able to use it for workplace issues, and definitely for things that, like you say, you know, just to be able to turn down that, you know, sympathetic, nervous kind of system stress response, and
absolutely
be able to cope and get on with your job.
Yeah, exactly. And you do, because you're then coming, it doesn't mean you can't not do anything, and that's the empowerment part. Suddenly I felt empowered instead of feeling, knowing that, well, while I'm reacting, getting angry, I'm being a victim. I don't want to be that. I don't want to behave. It's empowering. You can make a much better decision. I do have choices with it, but it's a much better work environment. I can move on and put my energy onto other things I want to do, and and possibly a different career path for sure.
Wow, I think empowered, you've nailed it. That's the word.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it's so beautiful. It's a wonderful feeling.
Thank you so much, Janet. We'll let you go, but thank you so much for sharing today.
You're welcome, and thanks for all the work you do.
Pleasure.